What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. In this video, we're live streaming a live best ball draft on drafters.com. I'm going to share my screen here so you guys can see what I'm looking at. This is a big contest here that they just launched actually today. Let me actually go pull that up for you and show you the details. The draft starting in a little over a minute. And then this is called their the Drafters Mini NFL Best Ball Championship. It's a $2.22 entry, 50K total prizes. You can see the total entries there. If I click into it, let me show you what we're working with here. So 30-second timers. There is slow drafts if you want to play on slow drafts here, but it's a 12-team league. There's 20 rounds. Schedule is weeks 1 through 17, no playoffs. So it's just continuous, 17 weeks, best score wins. And then you see the roster here, 1 QB, 2 running backs, 3 wideouts, 1 tight end, and 1 flex. And it looks like 10K to first. So we'll do this. I think I got spot, I have pick number 9. So we'll see what happens here. I've done a couple of these already. I've done a couple fast ones and a couple slow ones I've started already. So we're going to get into this. It's going to start in about 15 seconds and we'll just hang out. Like the video, subscribe if you are new, help the Fantasy Fellowship grow. And let's just hang back. I'll be referencing my projections. I do have a 2022 draft kit available here. Just click into it. You're going to get access to my huge Google sheet that I got for all the projections that you need. You can download the Excel document, PDF, all that good stuff. There's rankings, cheat sheets, more advanced data, and things like that. So check out the 2022 draft kit. We're going to be accessing this throughout the show today. So let's get this rolling here. It looks like Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp off the bat to start here. I'm just going to kind of minimize this so we can see more players available. And as we go through this, we will just, we'll let the board fall to us and see what happens. It's not Superflex. I just did an Underdog Superflex live stream yesterday. And again, as I record this, it's Monday, June 27th. So happy Monday to everybody. And we'll see. I'm excited. The 9 spot. I've been getting a lot of the top 5 spots lately. So this will be, I'm glad it's something different for me here. Christian McCaffrey, number 3 overall. Justin Jefferson, number 4. As far as who I'd be eyeing up at the 9th spot, a lot of times Dalvin Cook falls to me, and I like that. I wouldn't be opposed to Najee Harris, but so far Dalvin Cook's been one of my favorites. And you see, if I hit filter by ADP, you can see Dalvin Cook's got an ADP about 9.3, Travis Kelce 9.7. So we're moving and grooving here. You see the first 3 running backs, Austin Eckler, CMC, Jonathan Taylor. First 3 wide receivers, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Cooper Kupp. That's kind of the status quo around here. And then Derrick Henry has been starting to slide. A lot of people don't like that. If you're new to drafters, they are full PPR. Underdog is half PPR. So I'm more of a full PPR person. So that's my preference. That's why I use a lot of drafters. And if you haven't used drafters.com, use the description code below. You can get, I think it's a free $10 when you sign up. So I'm going to take Dalvin Cook here. There's a lot of guys that I still like on the board here, but they're all kind of more round 2. So Dalvin Cook's like the last true RB1 for me. So we'll go ahead and lock in Dalvin Cook. And I'm just excited about this Minnesota Vikings offense. I think a lot of people should be expecting a little bit of improvement. They're going to have that LA Rams style approach to it, that they've operated with having a stud running back, a stud receiver, and having a successful Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff lineup. So we'll see what the Dalvin Cook and the Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne, Irv Smith can do. So we'll try and pound some Vikings throughout the show. But after I take Dalvin Cook, you see Devontae Adams. I don't have a first-round grade on Devontae Adams. I'd be taking Stephon Diggs over him. Travis Kelce belongs in the first round this year. And then it gets kind of dicey. Like there's a lot of value in the second round, and it kind of stretches into the third. I think the second and the third round are the sweet spots this year where you can get second-round grades on players in the third round. So we'll see what happens at the turn here. I'm not going to be drafting a quarterback early unless something falls, but I traditionally don't like to be the first guy to take the quarterback, whether it's the top 2, top 3, but sometimes Herbert falls, and that's been the guy that I've been taking the most from early quarterbacks. But you see Joe Mixon finishes round 1 for us, and we're moving into the second round. So my ideal candidate here, I really like Mike Evans. If we can look at my projections here, I'll show you guys my PPR running backs here. I do have, Leonard Fournette, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift. These guys are all RB1s for me, top 10 running backs. But I think the value here might be the wide receivers. And I got Mike Evans as wide receiver 7. I think that should be my pick here. We missed on Swift. I missed on Mike Evans. Wow, Mike Evans at 13. That is a bit surprising. And then Kelce there. So as far as the top of the board, CeeDee Lamb is my top rated receiver. I do like Aaron Jones a lot here too. We are picking 16th overall, so I think for me to get CeeDee Lamb at this point is a gift. A lot of times he sneaks himself into the first round, and he's a guy that we're expecting more out of CeeDee Lamb. Year 3, no Amari Cooper. We're probably gonna see CeeDee Lamb set some career highs across the board, whether it's receptions, targets, yards, and touchdowns. I have a good feeling about CeeDee Lamb this year being the target hog. 111 his rookie year, 120 his second season, 74 and 79 receptions. I'm gonna lock in 80 plus receptions this year, and then I think he's gonna blow this yardage out of the water here. Hopefully over 1,200, maybe flirt with 1,300. And then the bar is low as far as touchdowns go. He's only had a career high of 6 touchdowns. That's 6 receiving in 2021, and then he did have a combined 6 as a rookie. So I'm expecting big things out of CeeDee Lamb. I actually have him as my wide receiver 5 in PPR. That's going for 96 receptions, 1,255 yards, and 9 total touchdowns. So I'm super happy, super grateful to get CeeDee Lamb there as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. CeeDee Lamb as the 7th receiver off the board. I'm feeling pretty good about that. I am a slightly I'm a little bit nervous about the Cowboys offense as a whole, but I think CeeDee Lamb's the one guy that you can bank on in that offense. So we start with Dalvin Cook at the 9 spot, come back, pick overall 16. We get CeeDee Lamb. So I'm feeling pretty good about that value. You see Leonard Fournette go right after we take CeeDee Lamb. I've thought about, I mean, the running backs that I like there were Leonard Fournette and Aaron Jones. But I think, again, just collecting, I probably would have taken Mike Evans there, to be honest, if he was there. I think with the Gronk retirement and the Chris Godwin news lately, that's just been screaming Mike Evans to me in the second round as one of the safest picks. Leonard Fournette's right up there too, because there was a report that came out today. Let me actually pull that up. If you guys didn't see it, you should definitely follow me on Twitter. I tweet things every now and then, but it was Michael Florio that did this, and he was talking with a beat reporter. Let me see if I can find this, because this was this was pretty important. So he was talking with beat reporter for the Buccaneers, Leo Haggerty. He does not believe we have seen the last of Rob Gronkowski, so that's interesting. He also expects the Bucs to run the ball more this year than they have in the recent past years. He cites Todd Bowles prefers to run more than BA. And then Leo believes the Bucs will take their time with Chris Godwin. They want to make sure he's comfortable, not just as a receiver, but as a blocker as well. Leo says they do not need Godwin until later in the season. Mentions November, maybe even December until we see him. So arrow up for Mike Evans, arrow up for Leonard Fournette, arrow up for Russell Gage. Those are the 3 Buccaneers you want to be snagging at this point of the draft. So again, after I take Lamb, you see Fournette, Tyreek Hill, the Joe Burrow stack. This one's fun. I guess you got to do it. He takes Joe Burrow in the second round. That's free money. Hopefully, I mean, Joe Burrow should have been a 6th or 7th round pick in a real, just in an average ADP point. So Joe Burrow going off as the second round here, pick number, it looks like pick 19. You got Mark Andrews here. Good value on Mark Andrews. You could take Mark Andrews anywhere in the second round and no one's going to blink an eye. He's that good. Aaron Jones, pick number 21. That's really good value. We did see, I think I shouted it out earlier, he had an ADP of about 17, so that's great value there. He gets Justin Jefferson paired with Aaron Jones. Deebo Samuel, pick 22. Saquon Barkley. People are kind of coming back around to Saquon Barkley being good. There was this picture that surfaced today of Saquon just looking like a beast. Let me see if I can find that for you real quick. I mean, just of course, just working out, but the photo of Saquon Barkley today was popping around the internet. So there we go. Saquon Barkley looks good to go. Best shape of his life, season, yada, yada. But after Barkley, you see Cam Akers. So a little bit of a reaching going on. Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers, and Alvin Kamara, Alvin Kamara is off my board, guys. We don't know what's going on with that suspension. I get it if you want Alvin Kamara to be, at the end of your bench for the last part of the season. I get it, but to take him in round 3 over some of the guys that we're looking at here, whether it's Nick Chubb, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, I think is a mistake. So Kamara goes round 3, pick 1. AJ Brown, a little bit high for me there. Javonte Williams, I'm fine there. Round 3, great on him. Pittman, Chubb, Higgins, Kyle Pitts. And then we're going to be up to pick here in a little bit. I do have a soft spot for my guy, Mike Williams. James Conner's interesting. I just don't know if I trust him to play for a full season. I do like the running back value in the 7th through 10th rounds and even beyond that. So we'll pummel some running backs later. We know Dalvin Cook's going to be locked in there for us the full season. I think at this point, I have to lock in one of my other top 10 wide receivers, and I'll show you let's take a look here. Mike Williams is my wide receiver 10. I do have Keenan Allen, wide receiver 12. So to be fair, I do still have Keenan Allen having more receptions. But as far as Mike Williams is my wide receiver 8, my bad. So I have him at 83 catches, 141 targets, 1,225 yards, and 10 touchdowns, which I think is pretty close to what he did last year, if not a little bit better. And keep in mind, I know Mike Williams was boom bust last year, but he did have I think it was a back issue in the middle of the season that kind of lowered some of his numbers and productivity. But Mike Williams in Best Ball League signed me up. One of the best receivers, just got paid. You look at how he finished the season too. 26.9, 15.3, 7.9, 12.1, 16. So that's a really good 5-game sample to end the season. And I think maybe we'll see a little bit more. I think we're going to see Mike Williams become a little bit more consistent this season. So we're up to pick again. You got Josh Allen, James Conner, Jalen Waddle, Justin Herbert. A little bit early for quarterbacks for me. There's ETN, Marquise Brown. And again, keep in mind, this is full PPR. I think I got to get my guy here. This is round 4, pick number 40. I've been trying to snag Courtland Sutton anytime I can in the 4th round. He's going to be the #1 target for Russell Wilson. And you see here, I've got Courtland Sutton as my wide receiver 9. I mean, I still like Jerry Jeudy. I am a little bit lower on Jeudy. I have him as my wide receiver 36. So I think it's not close. To me, Sutton is the lead guy. All the reports out of Denver so far that Sutton is the preferred and got the best chemistry with Russell Wilson so far. So I'm all in on Courtland Sutton round 4. And look at our receivers. I don't give a damn about the buys, 2 guys in the round 9 buy, but we got CeeDee Lamb, Mike Williams, and Courtland Sutton. Those are my wide receivers 5, 8, and 9. So we got 3 top 10 wide receivers paired with Dalvin Cook, who I do have as my running back 4. So I'm feeling really good about this mini best ball championship draft so far. So after I take Courtland Sutton, you have DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, Darren Waller. I'm coming around. Some of my favorite 4th round guys include Courtland Sutton, Darren Waller. Sometimes I've been open to taking Breece Hall because he's starting to cool down. You see his ADP is 44.1. It's starting to slide to the back end of the 4th round, which becomes appealing. There's just a lot of data on early, basically the first running back taken in the real NFL draft. And I guess technically the first rookie running back taken in fantasy. He's been a top 15, top 20 running back the last like 10 or 12 seasons. So there's some data to that, and it makes sense there. So I'm coming along to that. Dave Montgomery, Ezekiel Elliott, those guys are just kind of more value picks. They're it's more swing for a single than swing for the fences. But overall, I'm liking this draft. Again, Joe Burrow, that's the odd duck here that sticks out. And then Josh Allen in the 3rd, Justin Herbert in the 4th. We'll hopefully try and snag one of our quarterbacks here, whether it's Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson, and we'll try and play that value game and see where we can get them. Probably in the 7th round, we might be able to snag Dak or our guy, Russell Wilson. So we're moving and grooving here. You see Gabriel Davis, that's one of my favorite picks in the 5th round if you can get him there. Sometimes he goes again. Here he's starting to creep up into the 4th round. You have DK Metcalf, Rashad Bateman, Allen Robinson. Just look at the board from round 3 to where we are now. Tons of gold, tons and tons of wide receivers. So a lot of people are zigging here from running backs. You see only 3 tight ends. How many RBs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 7 running backs taken so far in 2.5 rounds here, from rounds 3 to mid round 5. And Patrick Mahomes, man, that's good value on Patrick Mahomes. I think getting him in the 5th round is fine. I don't love taking Mahomes as the 1st or 2nd quarterback off the board this year. I do have him as my QB3. So like it's just tricky when you're taking quarterbacks. Like for Josh Allen to pay off his ADP, he has to be the #1 quarterback. So that's a slim odd. We'll come back to that thought in a second here. As I'm looking to pick here, Dalvin Cook, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Williams, Courtland Sutton. There's a lot of guys that I like here. Still don't know if I want to pull the trigger on quarterback. As far as running backs go, I think I can wait there. Maybe I grab one more. I mean, Dalton Schultz is interesting. We can just go for a massive Dallas Cowboys stack. But his ADP is a little bit later. I think I got to take Darnell Mooney here. Darnell Mooney as my wide receiver 4. And again, with this roster construction, you start 3 wide receivers. So we're able to get Lamb, Mike Williams, Sutton, and Darnell Mooney. 3 of those guys are going to score for our wide receiver spots every week. And then right now we just plugged Darnell Mooney into the flex. So I like what we got going on there. And if I show you where do I have Mooney? I got Darnell Mooney as my wide receiver 18. So I think that's pretty dang good value for where we got him. I'm not sure what receiver he was drafted as. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. We got Darnell Mooney as wide receiver 28, and I got him as a top 20 wide receiver. So I'm feeling really good about that value. We have the sick 4 wide receiver start so far paired with Dalvin Cook, and we'll kind of keep going back and forth with things here. Just checking the chat room to see if anything's going on in there. But after I take Darnell Mooney, you see Amon-Ra St. Brown, Lamar Jackson, Juju Smith-Schuster. There's Dalton Schultz. That would have been nice to snag there and kind of can. I mean, I think Cowboys offense is going to funnel through Dak, Lamb, and Schultz. That's going to be a heavy part of that draft. But as I'm looking at some of these other options here, I mean, guys like J.K. Dobbins, Josh Jacobs, Antonio Gibson, there's a lot of fun players here still on the board, whether it even Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. I think this might be the spot to look at some of these guys. I really like AJ Dillon. I'm not going to be able to get AJ Dillon here if I don't do it. But in fact, you know, why don't I just take AJ Dillon? I actually prefer him over some of those other running backs. I think he's a little bit safer. I didn't get a Packer. I'm all in on the Packers having better success with Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. And again, like it sounds like Aaron Jones does have the potential to lead the team in receptions. I don't know about yards, but he does have the potential to lead the team in receptions, just get a ton of targets. And there's even a moment this offseason where AJ Dillon at his locker room was asked, "Hey, what's happening? You know, are you and Aaron Jones going to be on the field together a little bit more this year?" And he kind of just smiled and he didn't want to say anything. But there is a good chance that AJ Dillon finishes the season as a top 20 back. So I like snagging him here. And again, this is all kind of setting up. I thought about taking Murray. I thought about taking Jalen Hurts at this spot here, which would have made sense. But I think eyeing up Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson at 81 and 88, that's going to be the move. So that's why I don't mind reaching on AJ Dillon. And to be fair, his ADP was 68, so there was no chance of him coming back. But we'll lock in AJ Dillon here. And you look at his numbers. Now, keep in mind, this is with Devontae Adams on the field last year, a run-heavy approach coming into the 2022 season compared to last year. You look at his games. In the postseason, 8.5 games. He did rush for a touchdown, 7.7 against Detroit. He didn't play a full game in that one. Week 17 against Minnesota, though, 14 carries, 63 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. And then I just like that he's involved in the passing game. Cleveland 8.6, 10.5 against Baltimore. I think you're going to probably see these 8 to 10 point floors out of AJ Dillon. You look at some of these games where he had 14 rushing attempts, a low of 7 rushing attempts, but he's going to, tack on maybe 2-3 receptions per game here. So I think as far as AJ Dillon's floor, this is looking really, really good. He averaged 10.92 fantasy points per game last year. And in terms of fantasy PPR numbers, where do I have AJ Dillon? I have AJ Dillon as my RB21. I do have some running backs ranked higher than him, but I just wanted to make sure. Again, I love the Packer situation, whether it's guys like Josh Jacobs, it's hard to trust. Damien Williams or Damien Harris, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We'll look at some of those guys later. But for me, I'm not afraid to reach on AJ Dillon. I feel really good about that Packers running game. Fantastic offensive line as well. So after we take AJ Dillon to be our RB2, you have Kyler Murray, Michael Thomas, J.K. Dobbins, Drake London. There's Josh Jacobs. I'm a little bit nervous on J.K. Dobbins. We still don't really have a good report about him being ready for camp or anything. And you still have Gus Edwards there. They added Mike Davis too. And then they go and draft the running back, Tyler Beatty. So there's a lot of moving pieces there at running back. I don't know if I trust J.K. Dobbins there. Drake London, great pick. And then Josh Jacobs. I'm a big Josh Jacobs guy, but Josh McDaniels, do we trust him? He brought in Brandon Bolden. They still have Kenyon Drake coming back. Just the potential for the Patriots regime to kind of leak into there and kind of be a running back by committee worries me. Whereas I feel really good about AJ Dillon being the number 2/1B. There's Adam Thielen, Jalen Hurts, and Trey Lance both go at the end of the 6th round. So the Trey Lance hype is going to be through the roof soon once he gets confirmed starter, Jimmy Garoppolo gets cut or traded or whatever happens. There's Brandon Ayuk and there's Russell Gage. So we talked about Russell Gage at the top of the show when we were looking at Chris Godwin. Russell Gage is a guy here who's going to be, for me, he's wide receiver 25. He can get pummeled with targets. They're Tom Brady targets, which are high quality, so we love that. And I just think people are slowly starting to come around to Russell Gage being a fringe wide receiver 2 for the season. So we're almost up to pick here. We got the guys that I like to take at running back, whether it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tony Pollard, and then we'll gamble and say what we'll take. Ideally, we have to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Tony Pollard here. We'll come back and get Russ Wilson and Dak Prescott on the turn here. So I'm just kind of looking. These guys all have their quarterback already. They all look to have, this one's only got one running back. So we're forced into taking a running back here. In terms of ADP, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tony Pollard, to be our number 3. I do have Clyde Edwards-Helaire ranked higher. They did sign Jerick McKinnon this recently, so that does worry me, but I think getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire as my RB3 makes a lot of sense, and a lot of people are sleeping on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You look at what he did. Again, he didn't finish the season very strong here, but I do like some of the numbers that he did put up. If I hit the game logs here, for the most part, he was hitting double digits. He only, I guess, out of how many games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he only missed 5 games of double digits, and he ended up playing, it looks like 11 games, maybe 12. In 12 games, he only missed a handful of times. So I do like Clyde Edwards-Helaire there. I'm going to be pressed to take Tony Pollard here too if he comes around. But taking Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, those guys extremely interesting. There's Damian Harris off the board, but I have a really strong grade on Tony Pollard who just went, and it looks like we're going to get our pick here, Russell Wilson or Dak Prescott. So for me, getting Russell Wilson, again, that's a healthier offense. You have a lot going on there. You're going to be involved in some of those AFC West shootouts, and I think I have Russell Wilson as a top 5 QB. So for me, this one's simple. I like that his ADP is at 80.6, so we're getting an 8-round or 8-pick value on Russ Wilson. And if we just double check here, Russell Wilson's my QB5, so I'm feeling really good about that. So we completed the Russ Wilson, Courtland, Sutton stack. We'll see if we can find another backup quarterback. But now that this is kind of the end of the tier here, I think round 8, getting Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson, it kind of just falls off after that. If I just show you guys the quarterbacks here, you got Prescott there, you got Stafford. I do like Derek Carr. He's one of the guys that interest me, but after Prescott, these guys do not run the ball. Stafford, Carr, Rodgers gets rushing touchdowns, Cousins. Those 4 guys, a lot of people like them for what they can do as a passer, but they don't have top 5 QB upside this year, I believe, just because none of them run the ball. And especially with Stafford getting injections into his throwing elbow already, I don't like that. So for me, if you can wait until the 7th, 8th round, sometimes Ertz, Lance, those guys trickle into there. There's Tom Brady. Brady definitely one of those guys that doesn't run the ball. So for me, my favorite our quarterback targets have been Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott, and it's almost like clockwork. One of those guys will fall. I think what you got to do is you have to monitor your situation at the back end of the 7th. And again, because I knew these guys already had Josh Allen, Lamar, Herbert, I knew they weren't taking a quarterback here. So it made sense for me to take my RB here and wait for Wilson or Prescott on the turn. So it looks like we navigated those waters well. After I take Russell Wilson, you see Cordell Patterson, who I think is going to be more used as a wide receiver. There's reports of that. There's DeAndre Hopkins, who's going to miss, I think is it 6 or 8 games? 6-game suspension. So if you're patient, DeAndre Hopkins is pretty fair in the 8th round. There's Devin Singletary, Tyler Lockett, Dak Prescott, Matt Stafford, Dallas Goedert. I'm kind of out on Dallas Goedert. I think especially at this ADP, there's other running backs and receivers and quarterbacks that I like in this 8th round. So for me, there's not much difference there. Dawson Knox going at 87th overall is pretty crazy. Usually he goes around 100th overall, so he's going a full round higher than normal. And then as far as other tight ends, I still like, Zach Ertz is, at this point, give me Zach Ertz at 105 if I can get it. After that, there's going to be a drop-off. So Zach Ertz kind of is the last top tight end for me. It looks like these guys have tight ends. Maybe this quasi number 9 here, maybe he takes Zach Ertz from me. He does have Kyler Murray, so look for him to complete that stack. But look at this 9th round, interesting. Chase Edmonds, Kenneth Walker, Alan Lazard, Bob Woods, Garrett Wilson, James Cook. There's a lot of interesting names coming off the board. I'm all about Ramondre Stevenson. If I can get Stevenson in this range, I think that's really good value. Going to be the kind of the 1B there in New England. So I got good vibes for Ramondre Stevenson. And then we're looking pretty good at our running back spots. We got Dalvin Cook, AJ Dillon, Clyde Edwards, and hopefully Ramondre Stevenson. But if Zach Ertz is here, I think that's the move. Because, man, Zach Ertz's numbers at the end of last year were impressive. You look at these numbers, 5.1 in the postseason, but 15, 11, 13, 13, just some massive numbers from Zach Ertz. And he just had a ton of, some of the targets that he was getting were well in the double digits from Kyler Murray. So I think this guy messed up. He probably should have stacked Murray with Zach Ertz. And he's got an ADP of about 103. So if we're going to get him here at 105, this is going to lock down our starting tight end most weeks. And we'll take a peek at his game logs here after I get that pick in. But let's take a peek here. Game logs. So I can't remember when he got traded. That might have been the Seattle game here, or kind of in this range. I guess maybe week 7. That's when he got moved here. So when he got there, he was kind of a beast from the get go. And you see the touchdown there, the 2 touchdown game. He didn't catch a lot of touchdowns from Kyler Murray here, but I'm liking the consistency in the double digits there. So pretty good numbers from Zach Ertz. It looks like 74 receptions, 763 yards, and 5 touchdowns on the year. So I'm feeling really good about that. Zach Ertz as our tight end 1. And now we got the base. We have a 3 running back group of Cook, Dillon, and Clyde Edwards. Our receivers are set. CeeDee Lamb, Mike Williams, Courtland, Sutton, and Darnell Mooney. I feel really good about that. We need 3 of those guys to score for us. And then the other one can be the flex. But we have good competition, man. Like this is shaping up to be pretty good. After I took Ertz, you got Claypool, Boyd, Rodgers, and looking at the next, I mean, Carr is probably the guy that's got to go next. I don't know if anyone I guess this guy right here needs a quarterback yet. So look for Derek Carr to go here. But I just want to kind of zoom. No, we'll hit the plus button so I can see more of what's going on here. It looks like everyone's kind of got a tight end for the most part here too. So we'll circle back on tight end. There's a lot of sleepers that I like. You see, he got the auto pick of Rodgers and Cousins. So he's got Herbert, Rodgers, and Cousins. That's just dumping your entry fee away here. But as this shapes up for me, I want Ramondre Stevenson on my team. So he has that big boom appeal. If anything happens to Damien Harris, like we have our guy here. Did he just get taken? Dang it. Ramondre Stevenson just got taken. I have him as a top 36 back. Again, no James White to start the year. He's probably on the pup list. And there's also rumor that he could be just a camp cut, which would allow Harris and Stevenson to be the top 2 backs. And all the rumors of Stevenson getting more work as a passer and working on his receiving skills. I'm super interested in what Ramondre Stevenson can do. So I like that a lot. There's Melvin Gordon. As I'm up to pick here, I'm looking around. I don't love a lot of the value here. Wide receivers are kind of flat right now. Olave, Galladay, Moore. It's probably a running back here, whether it's Rashad Penny or Alexander Madison. I think that's the move. Derek Carr at this point, though, that could be really nice, and then we could just be done with quarterbacks. So I think I'm going to lock in Derek Carr. We got the 2 AFC West quarterbacks, and then I'm done at quarterback, so I can just forget about it. I think a lot of people are going to be excited about Carr being a potential top 10, top 12 quarterback, and just look at his numbers from last year. So last season, 23 total touchdowns, 14 interceptions. That's fine, but he goes for a career high, 4,804 yards. And for the most part here, he was pretty consistent. But I like only a handful of games in the below double digits. Kind of fell off towards the end of last year. But again, a lot of that was Darren Waller missing, thrusting Hunter Renfrow into a huge light. But look at how he started the year: 24, 24, 21. 14, 7, 21, 19. So it all kind of went off the wheels after that. But he was the passing yardage leader to start the first 7, 8 games. So I'm going to expect more passing out of that offense. And basically we're done with quarterback now. So at this point, we can continue to hammer the flexes. I'm feeling pretty good about this team. And I think at that point, let me just go. Can I highlight? I wish I could highlight all flex players, but there's a handful of tight ends I like yet. Again, we're locked down with Zach Ertz, but getting a guy like Irv Smith, Cole Kmet, Hunter Henry, Pat Freiermuth, those guys interest me a lot. I'm in on Robert Tonyan this year, Gerald Everett, Noah Fant, Evan Ingram. There's so many tight ends later. But at this point, feeling pretty good. We got a lot of options going forward, and we're not locked into, we don't have any glaring weaknesses here. I would like to add more competition at the running back 2 spot. But basically, one of my favorite strategies so far this, off season for drafting my running backs, I love taking, one of the top 6 running backs, whether that is Taylor, CMC, Eckler, Najee, Henry, or Cook. Those guys have been kind of my staples. If I can get one of those guys, that's great. And then I like to wait because, in the 6th through 10th round, you can get AJ Dillon, you can get Elijah Mitchell, Clyde Edwards, Damian Harris, Tony Pollard, Cordell Patterson. You can get even Antonio Gibson, J.K. Dobbins, Josh Jacobs, Chase Edmonds, Devin Singletary. There's so many options there. So that's kind of where I've been pivoting, waiting for my running backs. And then I just kind of pick and choose as I go. And because this is full PPR, I mean, Naheem Hines just went. That would have been a nice snag there. But because this is full PPR, I mean, you got guys like Michael Carter. You got guys like Rashad White, Darrell Henderson, Kenneth Gainwell, J.D. McKissick. I even really like Khalil Herbert, Tyrion Davis-Price. There's a lot of guys here that I think can be really useful for us. And again, we're locked into Dalvin Cook. Knock on wood, he'll play 13, 14 games for us minimum. But then AJ Dillon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, one of those guys each week, he'll get us at least 8 points, and then we'll hope for the touchdown that week. So I feel good about that competition there. And again, our wide receivers, we got 3 top 10 wide receivers, and I got Darnell Mooney. Again, we drafted Darnell Mooney as my wide receiver 28th overall, and we ended up getting, I guess, my 18th ranked wide receiver. So I feel good about that. But let's recap. After I take Derek Carr, I was interested in Rashad Penny. That one might come back to haunt us. Chris Olave, Sky Moore, Alexander Madison probably would have been a good idea to handcuff. I don't know if that's essential, though. Albert O for the Broncos, Gesicki, Rondell Moore, Naheem Hines. There's Daniel Jones, Jacoby Myers. I like that pick a lot there. There's Tua, Cole Kmet, Kenny Galladay, Justin Fields. And then as it's coming around to us, again, we know we're not taking a quarterback. We've been hammering that pretty well here, so we don't need to reach. As far as guys that I like, Tim Patrick speaks out to me. Maybe he can slide past for us. We can get him. But I'm kind of interested in Michael Carter. He didn't, getting Breece Hall does kind of mix things up. But let me just look at the running backs available here. Maybe it makes more sense to grab a wide receiver here, whether it's Christian Watson, Gallup, Mecole Hardman, Jarvis Landry intrigues me a lot. I think he could be the leading guy there for Jameis Winston. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lock in Tim Patrick, who's going to be technically the wide receiver 3 there. And again, we already have the Sutton and Russell Wilson stack, so I'll grab Courtland Sutton there. What's going on, Fabian, man? Thanks for hanging out with us. We're just doing a drafters.com live best ball here. This is a $2.22 contest with first place getting 10K. So hopefully we can craft a team that looks good. So far, I've been creating this Denver Bronco lineup here. Russell Wilson, I got Courtland Sutton, and then I just got Tim Patrick. Maybe we even snag KJ Hamler down there later, because if I'm expecting Russell Wilson to approach 40 passing touchdowns, it'd be nice to get some of those guys that are going to be catching them. So we're moving and grooving here, though. Rachaad White, we'll probably getting some running backs. So yeah, you can definitely join it if you're not on drafters.com. Let me click and show you. There's a link in the description below. You just got to sign up with drafters.com. I think if you put in like $10, you'll get a free $10 back, but it's called the Mini NFL Best Ball Championship. They're going to be filling out lineups up to 25,000 total lineups. And it just started today, so there's plenty of time to get into these today. But check out drafters.com. You can get in for leagues as cheap as $1.10. So super cheap leagues. You can even do bigger leagues too. So check that out. Drop Gronk for Logan Thomas, Rob Tonyan. Go and get Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet's probably got the highest upside of those guys. If I had to rank them, it's Kmet, maybe Tonyan, and then I'm not picking up Logan Thomas. We don't trust him. I don't think he's going to be healthy for the start of the year. But we're moving here. We're almost up to pick. You see, after we took Patrick, you got Rachaad White, Jarvis Landry, Hardman. There's Pat Freiermuth, would have been a good pick. Dotson and Isaiah Spiller. So we're looking at some of the running backs going off the board now. If I had to hit at all, okay, Michael Carter, Ronald Jones. I could take Ronald Jones here. Nobody seems to want him. He would be the handcuff to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's going to be, I guess, the primary rushing guy. I don't know if I love that or if I feel strongly about that. I got 8 seconds to make the pick here, so I think that's going to be the pick. Again, I don't love it, but if he's rushing in touchdowns or if anything happens to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, at least we're getting, if there's a rushing touchdown in Kansas City, I think we're going to get it. So that was just kind of a last-minute thought there. So we'll snag Ronald Jones and see what happens. But yeah, check out drafters.com, man. Again, if you sign up with my promo code, you get a free $10 for signing up with that promo code. And then all of these leagues, I mean, they got tons of other sports as well. They also have daily games. So if you want to play in some MLB lineups, you can do some daily drafts too. Definitely recommend checking out drafters.com. But after we take Ronald Jones, you see there's Jamison Crowder, interesting guy, Zach Wilson, Dameon Pierce, Jamal Williams for Detroit. That's Jamison Williams, my bad, the wide receiver. And looks like we got 7 more picks left to make here. So in this draft, there's going to be 20 total rounds. And it looks like we have we need more tight ends. We need more running backs and receivers for sure. I feel pretty good about our quarterback spot. But I'm going to start checking some of my favorite guys. We're going to draft Kenneth Gainwell hopefully on the turn. That would be a priority here. We want the pass catching back. I even like J.D. McKissic as the pass catching back. There's Khalil Herbert, Tyrion Davis-Price, some of my favorite guys to snag here. And I'll tell you what, maybe we even snag Jerick McKinnon. We just gobble up the whole Chiefs backfield because you got Clyde, Ronald Jones, and Jerick McKinnon. And then a running back scores a touchdown, we're going to have it covered. unless it's Derek Gore. But those are the running backs that I like. Let me click through some of the receivers. And yeah, 1 out of 25K. So it's a huge contest. And here's kind of the payout structure. So they're going to fill out, again, so far they've had about 281 drafts. Or I don't know how that works, but 25,000 total entrants, and then first place is going to get 10K. And I think if you finish in the top like 4,000, you'll get about $4 back. So they do have a nice payout structure there. Check out some of the links, and basically when you just click on a league, it'll give you all the details of what's going on, how many rounds, rosters, scoring, and whatnot. So just check out the info. But yeah, 1 out of 25 will win. 25K will win the 10,000 prize. And then we're coming on to be almost up here. You see tight ends. So the blue tight ends are starting to come off the board. Noah Fant, Evan Ingram. There's Hunter Henry. Maybe we should look at tight end real quick. I love Irv Smith. David Njoku's interesting. He's fallen because we just don't know who the quarterback is going to be. Very likely that it's going to be Jacoby Brissett for the full season. I'm in on Robert Tonyan. Again, I like Everett. I even like Hayden Hurst, getting a piece of that Cincinnati Bengals offense. And then after that, it's kind of a crapshoot. So we probably want to get at least one of these guys, if not two. Let me double back. So we're really strong at wide receiver. CeeDee Lamb, Mike Williams, Sutton, Mooney, and Patrick. We can snag some guys late to end up with maybe 7 or 8 total receivers. So I think sticking to the running backs and the tight ends, these coming picks will be interesting. Kenneth Gainwell's my guy. That's the guy I want really bad here. We missed on J.D. McKissick. So hopefully we can rack in Kenneth Gainwell. And we'll see. So the thing about Gronk, though, is it's rumored that he's going to come back at some point mid-season. I'm not willing to invest a huge pick in that right now. I'd almost rather just take these guys that I know are going to be there for the full season, unless his ADP comes down so far that it's hard to ignore. Right now, he's still on the board. But I would want to take all the guys that I have starred ahead of him just because I know they're going to be there for the full season. So if he's there at the end of the draft, we could add him and see what happens. But I'm not discounting it. So we'll see what happens. But we get Kenneth Gainwell, and I'm excited to talk about Kenneth Gainwell because we should be expecting the Eagles to pass the football more this year. And just look at what Kenneth Gainwell did the last few games of the season, especially in the playoffs against Tampa Bay. He gets 5 catches for 49 yards and a touchdown. Week 18 against Dallas, 12 carries, 78 yards, and a touchdown. So 2 boom games here. And then you see even week 13, 12 for 54 and a touchdown, 5 for 33 as a receiver. So he does have the ability to rack up 4 or 5 catches in an individual game. And he did finish the season with 6 total touches, handful of boom weeks there. I do think the Eagles are going to pass the ball more, so maybe we do see a little bit more of the second-year running back, Kenneth Gainwell. So him as our RB5, I feel really good about that. Really strong pick there. And then probably got to get Irv Smith here. That's going to be the guy that I want. Irv Smith, there was all the hype out of camp last year that he was going to step up, and now he's ready to go. He missed the whole season last year, but it sounds like he's running with in full in training camp, and we'll see if he can kind of take over that. Adam Thielen, I don't know if I trust Adam Thielen. Maybe Irv Smith's the second leading target there when it's all said and done. So I'm gonna hopefully get Irv Smith here. Otherwise, I'll have to rethink what I'm doing. And we do get Irv Smith. So Irv Smith as our tight end too, to pair him with Zach Ertz. And yeah, so typically Thursday night has been the ESPN draft night for me. Anywhere from usually around 7 o'clock Central Time, we have been doing those. I've been doing them every we're going to stick to, I think, Thursday night about 7 p.m., sometimes 7:30 p.m. Central Time. So I'm not sure what time zone you are in, Fabian, but every Thursday night we'll do a live show. And I can even send you the link if you want to get in the ESPN lobby and do some mock drafts with us. So you have me on Twitter. I think we can chat on there and get synced up for you to get in the league. After I take Irv Smith, one of my other favorite tight ends go Gerald Everett. I think at this point in the draft, just collecting tight ends makes a lot of sense, and especially in best ball. And again, this is best ball, Fabian, so I don't have to worry about setting my lineup. Basically, the best player is going to score for me automatically. So between Russell Wilson and Derek Carr, whoever scores higher that week, they're going to get entered in my lineup. As far as my running backs go, they're going to fill in my top 2 scoring running backs, my top 3 scoring wide receivers, and then my top tight end. And then whatever's left over at the end, my top scoring flex player will score. So best ball leagues, definitely one of my favorites. I think people love best ball. It's one of the things that kind of blew up this year is everyone's doing best ball drafts. whether it's Underdog, Drafters, or any other site out there. But you see the run on tight end, a lot of blue, especially the last couple rounds here, starting with Cole Kmet. And I guess if that helps you too, Fabian, because I saw your question was about Gronk being dropped for Logan Thomas, Rob Tonyan, and Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet goes up here round 11. Tonyan back here at round 14, and Logan Thomas probably won't even get drafted in this. But is Watson a QB1 right now? We should not be drafting Deshaun Watson on our teams this year unless you have like this pick, like the last pick, round 20, pick 240. Unless you have that pick and he's still there, then you maybe consider it. But as far as my projections go, I have him playing maybe 4 games this year. So I think that's like a best case scenario. If he can play half the season, anywhere between 4 and 8 games, I think that's best case scenario. And we just really don't know. And so for me, Deshaun Watson's off my board. Not going to be drafting him. But when he does play, if he does get the chance to play, he's going to be a top 10, top 12 quarterback. So I think, yeah, you got to wait and see. I'm curious because it does say his ADP is about 152, but I think people are just starting to wait and see what happens. It sounds like the rumor was that it was going to be this week that we get news on Deshaun Watson before the 4th of July. And then just there's a couple bit, news blurbs leaking out this week that they're trying to reach a settlement. So we'll see with Deshaun Watson, I think hopefully pretty soon. But we're approaching our next pick here. You see a lot of receivers are starting to come back off the board. Kendrick Bourne, Van Jefferson, I like that pick. We missed on Khalil Herbert, another guy that I liked here, Tyrion Davis-Price. So it's a good thing we got Kenneth Gainwell. But as I'm up to pick here, looking at my wide receivers now, Marvin Jones. I'm telling you what, I'm kind of all in on Sammy Watkins for the Packers. And I mean, at this point, it's round 15. There's essentially no risk, even if he just plays half the season and he scores a couple games for us. Basically, we're just trying to get a guy that can score 4 or 5 times. So I'm interested in Sammy Watkins. We mentioned KJ Hamler being of interest to us. Even Marvin Jones at this point does appeal to me a little bit. But my guy Hayden Hurst, we could be done with tight ends potentially if we just take Hayden Hurst. He's kind of the last of the best guys, and he is Joe Burrow's tight end 1. So sometimes when it gets to this point of the draft, I like taking more tight ends because, like, who knows? Like, I have a good tight end in Ertz, but Irv Smith, Hayden Hurst, these guys could compete for a flex spot most weeks, I think. So we're kind of done drafting quarterback and tight end at this point now with 4 picks. It looks like we got 5 picks left. We're going to continue to hammer running backs and wide receivers. What's going on with Julio Jones? I haven't heard any news. There's kind of been no news on Julio Jones. To be honest, I think Julio's best spot, he should sign with the Indianapolis Colts. Pair him back up with Matt Ryan. I mean, of course, Michael Pittman Jr. is there, but you got question marks at the receiver spots after that, whether it's Alec Pierce, the rookie, or Paris Campbell. So I personally would love to see Julio Jones on the Indianapolis Colts, but so far nothing really has come about. So I think there's a list of teams out there that make sense, but I'm going to put the Colts there at the top of the list for me. So yeah, no news. And I think once so this is kind of the dead zone. Training camps start up at the end of July. So I think after the 4th of July weekend, you're probably going to start to see some guys sign with their new teams. So we're on the board here. Let me take a look at the running backs. Sammy Watkins is still there. I'm going to go ahead and collect him. Again, we're just getting one of Aaron Rodgers' targets. Sammy Watkins actually played pretty decently with Lamar Jackson last year. Let me show you some of those numbers. So his game logs here, he did start the year off pretty well, 13.6, 8.4, 10.8, 8.9. So I'm interested, first 4 games of the year, he had 4 receptions. And then he did finish strong week 13, 4 for 39 and a touchdown. So I do think Sammy Watkins is going to be a busy target for Aaron Rodgers. Not too much competition again for the wide receivers. And let me see what we got here. Julio, Odell, or Michael Thomas. For this season, I'm not sure. I mean, Odell Beckham hurt himself in the Super Bowl. So usually you want to put yourself 8 to 9 months out from that. So Odell Beckham's not going to be probably ready to practice until like October. And so that one's tough for me. I don't know if we're even going to see Odell Beckham play this year. He might just sit out. So Michael Thomas is probably the guy. If you had to pick one guy for this year, it's probably Michael Thomas. And again, in terms of ADP, I saw Michael Thomas go off here in the 6th round, pick number 66. So Thomas still hasn't practiced with the team with that ankle injury. We haven't seen him for 2 years, so that does frustrate me. But I do think if I'm taking one of these guys, I want Michael Thomas just because, again, he's the he's probably the healthiest of the bunch and probably in the best spot to continue where he left off. And yeah, I still don't know about Julio. Still don't know about Odell Beckham where they're signing yet. Probably gonna bank on Odell Beckham returning to the LA Rams. But anyways, we're moving here, approaching the 17th round. After I took Sammy Watkins, you see Davis Mills. There's Cameron Brate. There's Deshaun Watson. So that shows you the value here. I mean, Deshaun Watson going after Davis Mills and Carson Wentz. People are just kind of starting to realize that they are out. There's Marvin Jones. Devin Duvernay. That's one of my favorite picks. I've been trying to draft Devin Duvernay a lot more lately towards the end of these things. There's Raheem Mostert. There's Jamal Williams. And now we're at this point now where I want to go back and start clicking on some of the receivers that I like. James Washington intrigues me just because he's one of Dak's top 4 wide receiver prospects. Paris Campbell, the number 2 receiver for Matt Ryan. I do like the Jaguars guy. Are you going to draft? No, we're not. We shouldn't be drafting Calvin Ridley this year. He's suspended for the full year. I don't even know what's going on if he's trying to appeal it or anything. But I think we should just be, nobody should be drafting Calvin Ridley this year. Mark Ingram, though, I'm interested in Mark Ingram, especially with the Alvin Kamara suspension potentially coming. It sounded like 6 games minimum for Alvin Kamara, and Mark Ingram could be the starting running back for the first 6 weeks. So, I mean, at this point in the draft, round 17, if I can get 6 starting weeks from a player, that's a hit. So Mark Ingram, I still like Jerick McKinnon, who again, McKinnon at the end of last year, look at what he did. 3 games, or the last 4 games. Getting double-digit carries in 3 straight games, and then look at the work as a receiver: 3, 5, 6, and 3, catching touchdowns, getting a lot of yards, a lot of interesting numbers there from Jerick McKinnon. So I think that's going to be my pick, and then that'll complete the chief trifecta of Edwards-Helaire, Jones, and Jerick McKinnon. How about on a dynasty league? In a dynasty league, I think if you can, hold on to Calvin Ridley for the year, I think that's fine. If you're doing dynasty startups this year, I'm not sure where he would go, but I would imagine, Calvin Ridley's he's probably 26, 27 years old. So there's still a good value. But again, yeah, he's sitting out the whole season. Damn it, we missed on Chris Evans. That was one of my other favorite running backs there. But yeah, there's still value for him. He's going to have more. It's not going to be the same when he comes back, unfortunately, because all of a sudden you have Kyle Pitts now, you have Drake London, and the uncertainty at quarterback, though, that's probably what scares me the most. So I'm not super excited about Calvin Ridley's future prospects just because, a lot has changed in Atlanta. So much has changed. They don't really have much going offensively. Kyle Pitts and Drake London are going to form a nice duo, but when that suspension is over, you're looking at a lot of competition for Calvin Ridley with those guys. So I think I'm a little bit nervous. If I could, I guess, hold on to Calvin Ridley, try and maybe trade him before next season if you can, because I think, once he's reinstated and he's coming back, I think that's when people will be willing to buy him again in dynasty leagues. So we got 3 more picks left to make. I did secure Jerick McKinnon, so we have the 3-headed monster from the Chiefs: Edwards-Helaire, Ronald Jones, and McKinnon. Maybe one of those guys will score for us each week. We have Kenneth Gainwell, AJ Dillon, and Dalvin Cook. I need more wide receivers, though. So that's where I'm probably going to focus. But man, Mark Ingram at this point of the draft is definitely an interesting guy. I kind of want to wait for some of these wide receivers I like down the list here. Again, Randall Cobb shouldn't be going this late. Even Jalen Guyton, that's just another piece on the Chargers that interests me. There was someone else, too, that I needed to search because we know what's going on with Chris Godwin. So I have been aggressively trying to add Tyler Johnson from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he's probably going to be my last pick of this whole thing. Let me get rid of the name Johnson. Maybe you look at running back here. Again, Mark Ingram still on the board. He's got an ADP of 210. I don't love Mark Ingram, but man, at this point of the draft, what do we have to lose? He did play well in relief last year too. He did have a couple games where he popped off 11, 20, and 15. So I'll add Mark Ingram here. Again, it's more so for the first 6 games of the year where we don't know if Alvin Kamara is going to be playing. So I'll be done drafting running back there probably. We have 2 more picks left in this league. Pick 225 and 232. So we'll start to line up some of our favorite receivers. And again, I went far down on the list for us. Randall Cobb, man, that's kind of the end game. People are sleeping on Randall Cobb. Again, I have Sammy Watkins and potentially getting Randall Cobb here. Look at his, and this is not a guy you're going to ever be comfortable starting in a redraft league, but he did pop off a few games last year. He did catch 5 touchdowns as well. He had 2 games with 2 touchdowns too. So you see 23.9 against Pittsburgh, 16.5 against Arizona, and 17.5 against the LA Rams. So I'm interested here in Randall Cobb. Again, he probably only would have scored a few games for us, but definitely getting interested here with no Devontae Adams. What's going on with Miami backfield? So the Dolphins, I'm interested in the Dolphins because Chase Edmonds was the guy that they paid. And what's interesting about that is like they aggressively went out and got Chase Edmonds. He's going to be the leading touch man there. So I have him leading the team in rushing attempts, leading the team in pass catching running back targets. And then after that, you got Sony Michel, Raheem Mostert, Myles Gaskin could be a camp cut, and then they did sign a fullback here. So these are the 5 running backs that are going to touch the ball. I'm interested in Chase Edmonds in a best ball format, round 8, round 9. He's a good guy to add to your collection, but kind of unsure what to do after that because Sony Michel played pretty well last year in relief for the Rams. And then Raheem Mostert, we know how he's looked when he's healthy. So he's a guy, I think Sony Michel or Raheem Mostert, these guys are worth darts at the end of our drafts. And you see Myles Gaskin, the only one left on the board here. So it's interesting. I think, let me see where Chase Edmonds went, the first pick of round 9. And let me see. I think Sony Michel probably just came off the board. Sony Michel here at pick 206. And then where is Raheem Mostert? Pick 190. So people are starting to get excited about that backup spot for Miami. But I'm still, again, the way I've been kind of doing things is I've been taking Chase Edmonds as one of those, late. If Chase Edmonds is your 3rd running back, that's a guy that you could potentially flex and get some good weeks out of. Is Hunt RB2 or RB3? So for me, let me see. I ended up with Kareem Hunt as kind of I think he's a top 30 back for me, which would put him as a, so on paper here, he's my RB29. I think you can use him as a running back too. If you wanted to pick one running back early, hammer wideouts and a tight end or something, you can always come back to Kareem Hunt and plug him in as your RB2. And again, on a team that's going to potentially have Jacoby Brissett as a starter, they're going to run the ball a lot. And let me just look here. I'm looking for Kareem Hunt. Let's see here. Kareem Hunt. He went 103 overall here, round 9. So, if he was there, I probably would have thought about it. But Kareem Hunt, round 9, I think that's free money. Again, he's kind of a lock. If he plays the full season, he's a top 30 back for sure. He could end up as a top 24 if the touchdowns roll his way. And then you see Rob Gronkowski go here, round 19. So I'm interested in Kareem Hunt. Basically, Chubb and Hunt are the only Browns that I want to draft probably on my team this year. Maybe Amari Cooper if he falls, but I think right now Amari Cooper is going a little bit high for me. Amari Cooper at the end of the 5th round, that's interesting. That's kind of fair value for him. But again, I like the running backs more there. As we're up to pick here, it is round 19. We need some more players. There's Jalen Guyton. Jalen Guyton had some nice moments last year. Didn't score any touchdown. He did catch 3 touchdowns last year, so he might be a guy here. Why don't we go with that? We'll just add the wide receiver 4 there for the Justin Herbert-led LA Chargers. And now we're just on to our last pick. And again, we'll kind of recap it here. Russell Wilson and Derek Carr are quarterbacks. I feel really good about those guys trading off every week. At running back, we're going to be locked into Dalvin Cook. Hopefully 13, 14 games minimum. And then after that, we'll have a group of AJ Dillon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Ronald Jones, Kenneth Gainwell, Jerick McKinnon, and Mark Ingram to hopefully, we just need one of those guys to score as our RB2. And then our wide receiver group, which is really strong. CeeDee Lamb, Mike Williams, Courtland Sutton, Darnell Mooney. We need 3 of those guys to score every week, and 1 can be the flex. And then our bench receivers, Tim Patrick, Sammy Watkins, Jalen Guyton. And then our tight ends, man. I like this group of tight ends, Zach Ertz, Irv Smith, and Hayden Hurst. So I think we did pretty well here. I'm going to go to my queue. Again, my last pick, walk-off pick. I kind of like Tyler Johnson, guys. This is a guy here who didn't catch any touchdowns last year, but 36 receptions, 360 yards. He was a guy that kind of filled in a lot after Antonio Brown went on his tirade. And I think this is the guy here who is going to be guaranteed the number 3 receiver spot while Chris Godwin's out. And I'll just kind of make him my walk-off pick, and we ended up with a lot of wide receivers. Last pick. No, so there's no, that's the nice thing. There's no kickers in the Drafters Championship. So I'm going to just kind of zoom in here and just let you guys see the recap of that. So this was a lot of fun. Again, we just recapped it. I ended up with 8 total wide receivers. I feel really good about the top 4, and then we'll see Tim Patrick, Sammy Watkins, Jalen Guyton, and Tyler Johnson. But I like the passing offenses that we got into. Don't love the Bears passing offense, but we picked some good offenses to be a part of. And again, I like the tight ends. I like this. This was a fun draft, and that's going to do it for us. This was almost an hour. This was a lot of fun. I'm hoping to do more of these live drafts in the future on Drafters or Underdog. If you want to check out the Underdog one, I did a $5 entry last night in their contest. So check that out. Again, Thursday night, we'll be hanging out doing a live ESPN draft. So if you want to participate that, just hit me up on Twitter. I can send you the link before I go live. Again, that's usually around 7 p.m. Central Time. So thank you guys so much for your time. This was a lot of fun. Hope you guys liked it. Check out that Drafters promo code below. And thank you guys so much. We'll see you later. Peace.